welcome back to our series of interviews. Like, I have another person on today. I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Joe. Call signs Pulverized. I'm the second in command of the Wolfpack, and I'm from northeastern Pennsylvania.
Glad to have you on here, Joe. We're going to jump right into the questions if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay, first question. How did you get started in airsoft? That's what I asked everybody, and I got a lot of different good answers from. So go to town.
Well, so back in the day, we're talking maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, I was a pretty serious Call of Duty player. Not as serious as they are these days, but well, my team kind of fizzled, so I was looking for something to kind of keep with action and things like that, and I came across this video on Facebook called Beware the Airsoft Sniper. Pretty much everybody knows him now as Novish, and at that time I didn't know who he was, and I kind of dove into everything that way, got on a couple forums pages, and everyone was like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to do, CQB, you want to do your small rifles and everything like that, and maybe a couple weeks later, I bought a kit and a setup, and I was down an airsoft arena that it was in our area, and that's kind of how I got into it, just kind of meeting people there every Sunday for about 8 hours a shot, and one thing led to another, and here I am now.
I remember you being at Plains Arena like several times with Rob and the rest of the gang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that leads me into the next question. Right now, what is your primary replica that you're using, your loadout gear, anything you want to tell us about?
Well, it's between two of them. I do have a Tippmann, standard M4. I forget the actual model. It's gone through so many different modifications. It goes from a DMR to a regular, run and gun M4. But it's a HPA, and then I've got an HPA MP5. Actually, what's interesting about the MP5, it's the one that you sold me. I drilled out one of the gearboxes, and I put an HPA Polar Star in one, and then I've got the low speed for indoor play if I need it on the other, so I could rotate between two.
Excellent. All right, so that'll take us into the next one. How did you get into the current role you're playing right now? I mean, as the squad XO of the team you're on right now, how did you luck into that, or how did that come apart?
I would just like to hard work, I guess. Good suggestions, always being kind of forward, but analyzing the situation. I'm very like a lot of players. I love him to death, Rob. He's always tip of the spear. Let's go. Well, I'm always though. Hold on, let's analyze this. Let's take a look really quickly. Do we really need to rush in here? And there was a couple of situations where I feel that really kind of put me up in the ranks. My favorite story, actually, it was actually how I got on the team. Was we were playing Search and Destroy down at the arena, and I was one of the last few people alive against a team of I think it was 5 or 6. I'm pretty sure it was either you were reffing or maybe it was... Yeah, and I happened to get all 6 or 7 of them with a pistol, and Rob walked up to me, he goes, "How long have you been playing?" I'm like, 3, 4, and before I finished, he's like, "Years?" I'm like, "Months," and he's like, "What?" That's how I got picked up for that, but everything else has just been hard work, good suggestions, always being at events, always trying to be there for my teammates. I guess the casual, normal stuff.
That's awesome, guy. I remember you playing down the arena too. So like a lot of good times down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I asked Rob this, but I always ask everybody this: what camo types you have? Now, I know you have a team camo, but if you have any other camos that you wear from time to time, you can mention those as well.
Well, yeah, we have the Cryptic Mandrake one. Now that you mention it, I need to replace it because I ripped the knee open. Rob's been kind of on me to get that, but I've got a normal standard, I guess old school 70s military one. I've got a black and blue one, very similar to the camo that you guys run. And I also have a ghillie, but it's very heavy. The only times I'd ever get to use it would be at an event outdoors when it's 90 degrees, so I'm kind of trying to not use that if I don't have to. But those are the 3 primary that I use. I've never done street clothes or anything like that.
I think I saw you in the it's the navy digital with the more blue in it that you had on the one game.
I believe it was Night Sky 2 years ago was when I actually started implementing it.
Okay. Uh, this brings up an interesting thing. Like right now, it's warmer outside, but what do you think about playing this time of the year in the cold and snow?
I don't mind it. Um, I mean, as long as it's not, I'd say, lower than 10 degrees. That's where I feel it's a little dangerous to most players, most people in general. Even though you're wearing a lot of gear, you actually dehydrate quickly in the cold, and people don't
Yeah.
really realize that. Um, there aren't that many games around, though, this time of year, at least in NEPA, or within, I'd say, 2 to 3 hours that have been interesting to me or the team. But, I mean, if I got invited, I'd probably do something.
I know it's kind of tough for some of the fields out there, like with Littlestown closing up now. There's not that many within under an hour and a half from us, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a segue into the next part. What is your favorite field and why? It could be a past or present field or both.
That is a good question. It's between planes. I miss planes a little bit every single day. And I would say EMR. I really like EMR's variety. You know, they've got the big castles, they've got the small castles, you've got the bushes, you've got climb over thing, like the climb over up the ramp on the back, the choppers. They've got pretty much everything you need. And planes was like I said before, I'm a huge Call of Duty player. It was probably the closest thing in the area to an actual nuke town. So you had the two-level buildings, you had those things in the middle, the Christmas trees here or there. Um, it was just between those two, definitely.
I know a lot of people have been mentioning that in their interview when I ask them about the field. They have fond memories of planes and actually Cookies Chaos too. A lot of people have been talking about they miss it.
Cookies was a good time. Cookies would probably be a very close second.
I wish someone had picked up that field, but you know, life is has a way of getting interfering, which is also a
Yep.
segue into this next one. What is the max distance you will travel to attend an event or op, or an open play? That's there can be a distinction there if you want.
Well, right now, on the average, I'm traveling 45 minutes in pretty much any direction. If I want to come down to your field, or if I want to go to EMR, I even think skirmish is about a half hour to 45 minutes away from me. So that's kind of the average. I would put, if I was driving, I'd probably go a good hour and a half. If somebody else is driving, however far you want to go.
Because there are quite a few fields like Atlas and OTP and Pinnacle, the new one down there in Jersey, and Warzone. From my
Mm.
house, they're 2.5 hours, so that's almost 3.5 hours to you.
There was a field in Delaware that we tossed around the idea with going to maybe a year ago, maybe two years ago. It's more of a military training and police facility, but it's like multiple levels and things like that. But they let airsofters and paintballers go in, and it was really far for a lot of people. I mean, me and Rob and a couple of the squad leaders were like, "Let's go tomorrow," but I think where we're positioned in NEPA, there isn't much. I mean, obviously, and there could be so much more. There could be a lot of these indoor fields. I know insurances are murder on people, though. There could be a lot of outdoor places because I mean we're surrounded by woods. Somebody's got to own the land somewhere, right?
Now, there was, like, with OXL Linglestown closing, they're talking about one in Dillardsville, which is about 15 to 20 minutes south. And
Mm.
there's one out in Altoona that's opening up. And I heard about another one right on the border of New York and Pennsylvania. I don't have the information on those. But those, like, all are, like, from my house, are like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Linglestown was an hour 47. So if you go another 20 minutes south, that's like 2 hours, 10 minutes. Altoona's about 2 hours, 15. And like Zulu, right on the border, or right on the border of New York, is a good 2 hours, 15 minutes as well. So, would you want to try one of those at one time if something was over 2.5 hours?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, The way I kind of look at it is if it's a brand new field, I'll definitely go because we need a lot of support in the community when it comes down to airsoft in our area. With everything, not to be like a downer, but with everything going on with the replicas and what's going on, I think in Canada there's some stuff going on where they're starting to really crack down on airsoft replicas or gun replicas. We need a lot more support, especially these little fields. I think to piggyback on planes again, one of the biggest reasons that closed was the insurance was so expensive. So I'll definitely go out and support one of those smaller fields, check them out. And if they've been in operation for a little while, if they've got better ratings for things, I'll definitely go. The higher the rating, the better for me. And doesn't matter. I'll pretty much try anything once.
Most of these are paintball fields that are trying airsoft. All right, and I've heard good things from some of the paintball people about it. But if they're, just paintball, they haven't really exposed themselves to airsoft. That might be good or bad. Good in the fact that you could probably help them out with stuff, but bad that they would miss a lot of stuff that normal fields would check.
Yeah, I mean, paintball, the biggest difference in paintball and airsoft is, from what I've seen, is the ranges that you're looking at. An airsoft gun can typically fire about 175, 200 feet. Your paintball guns can't do that, so you're going to see a lot more CQB, and if you're seeing more CQB, there's going to be more restrictions on jewel weights, BB weights, which to a point is fine and good, but like you said, they missed the mark with some things.
This is a good segue into the next part. What turns you off when you go to a field? What aspect of it, like refs, the overshooting, cheating, whatever, anything like that? When you go to a field the first time and this happens, you are turned off. Give me an example.
Um, well, I think to just knock a couple things out of the park real quick that I think turn anybody off. I mean, overshooting, refs on any field that I've been on, with the exception of like two in my 9 or almost 10 years of doing this now, you can't have a ref every place. So I really don't hold that against them in some cases, but like overshooting, people just not calling hits. I mean, sometimes true, you don't feel it, but there have been some examples that I know you and I personally know of where, dude, come on. I would probably say my biggest turnoff is layout in some cases. Like, I'm not gonna. The field's long gone and closed. It wasn't Plains, but it was a field down near Pittsburgh, I think it was, where it was like the field had to be 300 feet long. Like, I mean, half a football field, and maybe 4 car lengths wide. And they jammed so much into it that when you looked at it, it looked really cool. But if you had to run an objective into that, it was murder. Like, I really think that, like, places like EMR and Plains, when it was here, Skirmish even, you have to step back and you have to look at your field layout, and you have to look at what you're trying to push. If you're doing just like a team deathmatch, then sure, that works. But, I mean, team deathmatch gets overused a lot. Your objectives is what, for players like me, myself, we look for. So field layout, definitely. I would say probably another thing is, I've seen a lot of people say they have like a pro shop and there's like 4 cans of green gas and 2 O's in there. I know it's hard to get started, but like I've been on some fields that have been there for a long time, like 3-4 years, and they have like 2 Springer guns and, like I said, a can of green gas. It's like, is that really a pro shop guy? Because some players on my team will go just for that pro shop, and then they're let down, and then how does everything else look?
That's the big thing. A lot of paintball places make a lot of money on the paintball players with paint. Okay, not necessarily gears or markers, but paint on every day. That, like, some paintball fields, you have to use their paint. Unlike an airsoft location where they have airsoft, you can bring your own BBs, but having BBs there and green gas, the consumables, would actually be a good draw for like a pro shop.
Yeah, especially if it's an outdoor field. Like, a lot of airsofters don't take into account, weather. If it's a little bit more humid or the wind's blowing, you want a heavier BB. You want a 3.0 or a 3.2, sometimes maybe a 3.4. If it's an indoor field, I'd say anything from 2.5s to 2.8s are good, or if it's a nice calm day. But that all depends on what you're doing, what type of game you're running, and everything around you. So a place like EMR has a fantastic setup on the inside. I have never, I mean, I'll even pay a little extra for the BBs because he's got them all the time.
They've got a nice layout too, and the owner listens to the players. That's a big thing for me.
Hmm.
So the next one is now I changed this up for two players when I interviewed them. What's your funniest or most memorable story? It could be either or that you had while playing airsoft. Funniest or most memorable? Go to it.
Well, it's one that I get busted about on the team all the time. Chase, boxer, he every now and then he'll look at me and he'll say this, and I'll just be like, "Come on, man." We were doing an open play at EMR, and it was in the back of the castle, and I think it was the first year they had like the popsicle stick village out there. So we were feeling everything out, and for the open plays, as you know, they shrink down what you're doing so you're not all over the place. And it was the castle to the end of the village, and me and this other guy drew down on each other at the same time. We both emptied 2 or 3 rounds into each other. We both got hit, and I put my hand up and went hit, and I look back at him, and he's walking away, and I'm like, "You're just not gonna call that?" He goes, "My BBs hit you first," and I'm just like, "But, but you still got hit." I'm like, "Dude, this." Oh, I got so frazzled at that sentence, and I think Rob saw me get mad. Chase saw me get mad, and it's just been a running joke ever since. Like if I get a little frazzled, like they'll go, "Hey man, we'll throw a BB at me." They're like, "You're out. My BBs hit you first." It's like,
And of course, your teammates will bust on you and bust on you and bust on you about stuff like that.
oh yeah, I don't even have to be on the field. I'll get a message every now and then from someone. They're like, "Hey man, meeting today at 7. Yeah, don't forget, BBs will hit you first." It's like, "Thank you, great."
Okay, this is the last question we're gonna have, but how long do you think you're gonna keep playing airsoft? Like, how long do you foresee yourself playing?
Until I can't. I really, really enjoy it. Last 2 years I've noticed a little bit of a physical decline in myself, but that's because I went from a standing job to a desk job. So of course, getting a little bit on the midsection. I used to really enjoy running. I'm trying to get a little bit more fit this year because I want to be more active in the field, but until something like really stops me from playing, I don't plan on stopping. I'm actually ordering 2 new guns this year that I have my eyes on. I'm getting a new setup this year, just a bunch of different things. So no signs of stopping anytime soon.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I have a personal question. We're going to go off my cheat sheet that I have here. What
Mm-hmm.
do you think about pistols in airsoft? Okay, like I asked a couple of people this, a couple of people I didn't ask it because they don't use pistols at all. But what do you think of pistols, using a pistol in airsoft?
Well, I think they're situational for most players. I'll say a good like 60% they're situational. A lot of players don't even think of them. I use a pistol if I need to move fast and I need to be a little more quiet and mobile than usual. Also, to be a little more friendly. Like if I'm sneaking up on somebody and it's in a building and the field regulations are, hey, there's no safety rule. If I can, I'm not going to shoot you in the back of the head with a 3-4 at 400 feet per second. That's just not, I don't really want to do that to you. I don't think I thought I had it around here someplace. I've got my 1911 that shoots at about 300, maybe a little under with 2.5s, and I'll pop you with that because I don't want to hurt you. But like I said, mobility. I love a pistol. In most cases, in places like indoor arenas, I'd rather run a pistol because if I can close a gap faster than they can shoot me, I'll take it. I do know one player on our team. He's trying to do an all pistol loadout, where he could even use it for longer distances. He's got he got a lot of work to do on that one, but if anybody could do it, he can.
That sounds awesome, Joe. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on and like doing the interviews with me, Joe. I know you're busy during the day. I just want to thank you for coming on, and I hope that we get to do this again with another interview with different questions next time.
Hey, you know where I am. Just shoot me a message. Usually like the weekends are good for me because like how I work the long days Monday through Thursday. But just send me a message. I'll answer any questions you want.
Sounds like a plan. Well, hey, you have a good night now, then, Joe. All right.
Take it easy.
All right. Bye.